You are watching a special presentation from Tinkle Group Gaming. Hello guys and welcome here to the Lyft National Series race number 27 here today from the Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway. Today we present to you the 5-Hour Energy 250 here under the lights at Gateway on this Friday night. Hello and welcome. I'm Brian here in the booth with you. Starting from the pole will be Daniel Gittero in the number 2, one of the non-playoff drivers, believe it or not, despite, I believe he has 3 wins this year. So despite the win column being high, he is not in the playoffs, unfortunately, as he was not in the top 25 at the conclusion of the last race at Road America. To his outside, though, will be one of the playoff drivers, and of course it will be Nick Martin in the number 27, who enters this race as the 10th seed in the playoffs. Of course, if you missed last week, Karen James walked off with a win at Road America, and she punched her ticket into the Lyft National Series playoffs, joining Dennis Shelmerdine, Tyler Blurick, Alex Underwood, Colin Cropley, Skylar Martin, Parker Smith, Austin Shaw, Pretty Shaw, the aforementioned Nick Martin, Jordan Stewart, and Scott Upton. A pretty big list. A pretty big list full of talent that can win this championship. Which one will be left standing after these 7 races? More importantly, the smaller picture, who will win here today? Could any of those 12 win here today at Gateway to punch their ticket into the round of 8? We'll find out in just a moment. Let's roll the intro. When we come back, the green flag here at Gateway in just a moment.
Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless, a sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it, and I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring. My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great.
Here we go, getting ready to go racing here at Gateway. 1.25-mile oval holds cup and truck races every year, also holds an IndyCar race during the season. As pace cars off, Daniel Gittero, Nick Martin, they'll make their way down the long front straight. The green flag is out, we're underway at Gateway. Karen James takes the lead on the opening lap here. Oh, an issue for the 9, Mitchell Hodak. Tough break for him. He will not finish today's event. Karen James takes the lead. Nick Martin to second. Of course, as we keep going through this race, keep in mind, of course, the winner, if any of these drivers in the playoffs win here today, they will advance to the round of 8 despite how they may finish in the next 2 races. That's something these guys are keeping in mind. Of course, Karen James, the walk-off victory at Road America to make the playoffs, wasn't even really talked about in terms of the playoffs. Nick Martin, of course, a winner this season. That is why he is in. And of course, he's trying to battle with Karen James for the race lead right now. After this, of course, next Friday night, we will be at Bristol. Of course, that'll be our first visit of the season to the Bristol Motor Speedway. We then go to Watkins Glen International. And of course, that is one of 2 road courses in the 7-race playoff, and it will determine who will advance to the round of 8. After that, the round of 8 begins. We will go to the Charlotte Roval, our final road course of the season. And then we will go to Rockingham and Martinsville, with a gap in between. Of course, keep in mind the Cup Series goes to Talladega, so we will get a free week off for the Lyft National Series. But of course, Rockingham, Martinsville will round out the round of 8. And then we go to the Championship 4, and that will be held at Rickey Raceway, as it has the last few seasons. We look forward to sharing that with you over the next 7 or so weeks here on Tinkle Group Gaming, as Karen James continues to lead here at Gateway. Of course, the NASCAR Xfinity Series, it should be noted, of course, this series kind of replicates the NASCAR Xfinity Series, or is kind of our version of it, is what I should say. That series has not been here to Gateway in 12 years. 2010 was the last race at Gateway, at Worldwide Technology Raceway. The Truck Series has run here the last couple of seasons. The Camping World Truck Series has. And of course, those races generally opened up the playoffs. This past season, though, it was moved up to the spring to be a support event for the NASCAR Cup Series. Of course, the NASCAR Cup Series ran here in the spring for the very first time, after, I believe, a lot of fans asked for this race to be on the schedule, including myself. I was hoping to see that race on the schedule, and sure enough, we got it. And we will get it again in 2023. It was announced that Gateway will host a Cup race next season. Karen James still maintaining that gap to Nick Martin. It might come down to pit stops as far as which one will get the advantage. Take a look out the back. See, it's about a car length and a half back to the 27. Nick Martin dives it into turn 1 and 2. Helmet cam from Nick Martin. Yo2 Scott Upton right behind them. Of course, Upton is the final seed in the playoffs. He was the 12th seed in the playoffs. Missed the Jello Cup Series playoffs for the 2nd straight season. And looking to have a lot of success here on the Lyft National side. The top 3 are playoff drivers. Daniel Gittero's, in fact, the only car in the top 5 right now that is not in the playoffs, as we got a battle for the lead. Karen James, Nick Martin. Karen James will hang on, but now the battle for 2nd. 2 teammates. course, keep in mind both these drivers, Scott Upton, Nick Martin, drive for Our Motorsports. Is there going to be a sign of respect here? Or will they race each other tough? Karen James gets away once again. But the battle for second still going on. And this time Scott Upton's gonna get it. Your Darlington winner. Still side by side, the 65 kind of held them up. But you could tell that 02 looks really strong. He's just not able to complete the pass. Or you can tell that the 65 isn't really that strong out in front compared to the drivers behind her. Of course, Karen James, the win at Road America, as mentioned, propelled that 65 team into the playoffs, and not just that, propelled them from being well outside to being the 4th seed, entering the playoffs as Scott Upton completes the pass. And now he will set his sights on Karen James. But again, first full Lyft national season for Karen James. Scott Upton is third as he's going to battle and try to take the lead away. He will this lap for sure. Will he complete the pass into one? He will. And that'll allow Nick Martin to pass through for second. So it's going to be an Our Motorsports, potentially Our Motorsports 1-2. At the very least, they're going to be in, or Karen James will be in a sandwich of the two of them. And that's what's going to happen. Scott Upton, the Season 6 Cup Series champion, to the race lead, as he tries to win and advance to the round of 8. Here we go, battle for second on once again. Nick Martin, he should be able to complete the pass this time. Karen James took a really high entry and won't keep the position. Nick Martin now to second. He will try to chase down Scott Upton, his teammate. Again, win in advance. That's the name of the game here at Gateway. And of course, same thing goes through the next few rounds. But one thing to note, and Karen James should note this as well, being the 3rd seed entering the playoffs, 3rd or 4th seed, that if she leads the points at the conclusion of this round, she will add 2 playoff points to her total. So even if she doesn't win in advance necessarily, she can still add playoff points to her total, as could any of these drivers. And it's only effective in this round because there's only 3 rounds in the Lyft National Series playoffs as opposed to 4 that are in the Jello Cup Series. And look at the lead that Scott Upton has grown here as we're coming to the halfway point this time by. And you always wonder, what would a win mean? Well, of course, Watkins Glen is the elimination race in this round. Before that, of course, and the next race in this round is at Bristol. Need I say more? Again, if you win this race, you enter Bristol and you enter Watkins Glen without fear in the next round. Or without fear of failing to advance to the next round. That is no doubt something that these guys are thinking about. Again, we've seen races at Bristol here on the Lyft National side, and on the Jello Cup side too. They are not usually the prettiest races on the schedule. And imagine what the Cup guys got to deal with as pit stops will begin. I mentioned the Jello Cup Series because, of course, the first round of that playoffs, second round of that playoffs kicks off next week at Bristol, with Watkins Glen and the Roval being the final two races of that round. Just imagine how difficult, how grueling that round is going to be to get to the round of 8. And of course, keep in mind on the Cup side, oh, contact, one around. Will this hurt the 0-2 on the pit lane? See, the 6 is in. That's Skylar Martin. Will the 0-2 lose any time? Of course, doing the overcut. There's the 27. Here's the 0-2. And Scott Upton going to keep the lead. Of course, going back to what I was saying about the round of 12 for the Jello Cup Series. Again, probably one of the most grueling ones that we've seen in a really long time. Again, the Cup Series going to Bristol, Watkins Glen. Of course, Watkins Glen for the Cup Series versus Watkins Glen in the Lyft National Series. The Lyft National Series is on the normal NASCAR circuit for Watkins Glen. The Cup Series is on the boot. They run the full IMSA track that is run for the sale in 6 hours. So again, 2 different layouts on the same weekend. And then, of course, we know what a dumpster fire that Charlotte Roval can be sometimes. It's a wreck fest or it's a clean race. There's just no in between. And, of course, the Charlotte Roval being the opener for the round of 8, even more chaotic. But again, it gets easier. It gets slightly better as you move on in the Lyft National playoffs. Of course, the Rock is the next race, and then Martinsville. But again, those 2 tracks by no means are cakewalks. As Scott Upton cycles out to the race lead, Nick Martin in second, Karen James runs in third. They got a lapped car, Alexander Rowe. Then you got Daniel Gittero, Skylar Martin in fifth. Good run going for that Johnny Davis Motorsports team. Reggie Fogelman runs in sixth. And of course, keep in mind, Reggie Fogelman in the Cup Series playoffs, not in the Lyft National playoffs. Henry Sanford, he runs in seventh. Michael Collins, of course, enters this cup race tomorrow, not having to worry about the round of 12 because he's in no matter what. Austin Shaw's in 9th. Then, of course, Jordan Stewart rounds out your top 10. Two of those playoff drivers battling on the back half of the top 10. Then Max Anderson running in 11th. You got Tyler Blurick, the regular season champ, under pressure from Brad Stover in the number 28. A solid run going for Tyler Blurick. Of course, regular season champ, no wins, but he won it before even going to Road America last weekend. Tim Randolph missed the playoffs, but he runs in 15th. Connor Breton, same situation, 16th. Missed the playoffs. Jessica Strauss in 17th. 16th, then 17th. 16th Jessica Strauss, 17th Keith Stevens, 18th Mitchell Collins. Then in 19th you got Zach Fitzwater, another one who missed the playoffs just based on the playoff points that he had accumulated. And then in 20th you've got Alex Underwood, the small team in the playoffs here, trying to make a splash. Right behind them, by the way, that's Dan Hummel. Made the playoffs, made the championship for both seasons, and did not win the championship last year to get his second, and he missed the playoffs this time around. Of course, just looking to finish the season on a high note. That's kind of through the field as Scott Upton continues to lead. Fastest laps of the day, no surprise, the 02 at the fastest lap here at Gateway, 35:56. 10 to go here at Gateway, and he's catching the 90 of Zachary Orlando. And it's going to be a lap traffic moment. We'll see. Can he clear? Yes, he will. Now will Nick Martin be able to get around? Oh, they're tangling, and he's just going to get by. You got to imagine sitting here with 9 to go. You see the 27 slowly inching toward Scott, or 27 slowly inching toward Scott Upton. You gotta wonder, has this team had any discussions? Of course, all three of their cars are in the playoffs. Have they had the discussion about what happens if we're racing each other to advance to the next round? How do we go about it? Nick Martin's really closing now, down to 7.5 tenths. But again, what discussions have been had? Of course, Scott Upton is the champion of this three-car team. He won a cup championship, where Dennis Shelmerdine, Nick Martin, they haven't won a championship before. So maybe that's where they did have those discussions where, look, we're not going to take priority on a driver, but understand you're racing as a team toward one common goal. I imagine that would have been the discussion that was had entering here at Gateway as the lead grows by a tenth. Six to go. They are catching the tail end of this pack here. Can Scott Upton maintain the gap where he doesn't really catch too much of the dirty air and also doesn't allow the 27 to close? To me, that's a big predicament. As we got 5 to go this time. Might be a little bit of a predicament. Of course, you can see he's trying to maintain the gap. But again, if anyone knows how to do it, it's Scott Upton, of course, former champ in the Cup Series. Now we got 4 to go. The gap's grown to a second and almost a quarter. But you see, he's caught the lap traffic. That's Trevor Collins, Dennis Stryker, and Samet Ozkan all battling in front of him. And he's going to catch him. There's just no avoiding it. Three to go at the line. Maybe the draft has helped him a little bit, and that lead's grown. He's trying to take his teammate to school to open up the playoffs. This time by, we'll have 2 laps of racing to go here at Gateway. Can Scott Upton hang on? Here we go. He's going to look inside. Not going to get there. It's down to 8/10. But he's really getting held up now. That's going to allow this gap to really close. Nick Martin is right there. He's going to use the bottom. Now he's going to go high. And he's got to get to that bottom. Don't allow the O2 to get down. As we come to the white flag, 1 lap of racing to go, presented by Mitchell's Memes. Nick Martin will lead that lap. No, Scott Upton will. Here we go. This battle for the lead in traffic. And Upton will clear. That's game, set, match on the high side. And Scott Upton, Season 6 Jello Cup Series champ. He's a step closer to putting his name in the ring for a Lyft National Championship. Scott Upton wins at Gateway and advances to the round of 8. Congratulations to Scott Upton. And he really gave Nick Martin a chance there at the end with that lap traffic. And Nick Martin's just going to fall a hair short here today at Gateway. And that's unfortunate, but still a strong run and a strong showing for Our Motorsports right out of the gates. As they'll have 1 car now guaranteed to make the round of 8. Beginning at the Charlotte Roval. We want to thank you for watching. We're going to show you results and your standings. We'll be back for race number 28 at Bristol. Until then, goodbye everyone.